story is called The Great Big Enormous Turnip. In case you don't know what a turnip is, it's a kind of vegetable that grows down under the ground. One day, an old man planted a turnip seed. Every day, he would water the turnip seed, and he'd pull up all the weeds that grew around it, and he let the warm sun shine down on it. And after a little while, the turnip seed began to grow and grow and grow until there were 3 big leaves sticking out of the ground. And the old man said, "Whoa, this must be a great big enormous turnip. I'm going to pull it up, take it home, cut it up, cook it, and eat it for my dinner." So the old man grabbed hold of the turnip leaf, and he began to pull. You can help me with this part. And he pulled, and he pulled, but he could not get that turnip to come up. So the old man decided he needed some help. He called for his friend, the old woman. "Old woman," called the old man. "Old woman." The old woman came running as fast as her legs could carry her, and she said, "Yes, old man." "Old woman," said the old man, "I've been trying to pull up this turnip, and I haven't had any luck. Would you help me, please?" And the old woman said, "Why, sure." So the old woman held on to the old man, and the old man held on to the turnip, and they pulled. This is your part. And they pulled, and they pulled, but they could not get that turnip to come up. The old woman thought they needed even more help, so she called for her friend, the little girl. "Little girl," she said. "Oh, little girl." The little girl came running as fast as her little legs could carry her, and she said, "Yes, old woman." "Little girl," said the old woman, "we've been trying to pull up this turnip, and we can't get it out of the ground. Would you help us, please?" And the little girl said, "Why, of course." So the little girl held on to the old woman, and the old woman held on to the old man, and the old man held on to the turnip, and they pulled, and they pulled, and they pulled, but they could not get that turnip to come up. So the little girl decided they needed even more help. She called for her friend, Doggy. "Doggy," she said. "Oh, Doggy." Doggy came running as fast as his doggy legs could carry him, and he said, "Roof, what is it?" "Well, Doggy," said the little girl, "we've been trying to pull up this turnip for ever so long, and we just can't get it out of the ground. Would you help us, please?" And Doggy said, "Roof, yup." So Doggy held on to the little girl, and the little girl held on to old woman held on to old man, and old man held on to the turnip, and they pulled, and they pulled, and they pulled, but they could not get that turnip to come up. Doggy thought they needed even more help, so he called for his friend, Kitty Cat. "Kitty Cat," called Doggy. "Oh, Kitty Cat." Kitty came running as fast as her kitty legs could carry her, and she said, "Meow, what's happening?" "Oh, Kitty Cat," said Doggy, "we've been trying to pull up this turnip for a long time, and we can't get it out of the ground. Would you help us, please?" And Kitty Cat said, "Okay." So Kitty held on to Dog, and Dog held on to the little girl, and the little girl held on to old woman held on to old man, and old man held on to the turnip, and they pulled. Don't forget to pull. And they pulled. And they pulled, but they could not get that turnip to come up. They were just about to give up, go home, and order a pizza when who should come running along but Mouse. Mouse came running up, and he said, "Oh, what's the matter, what's the matter, what's the matter?" And Kitty Cat said, "Meow, Mouse, we've been trying to pull up this turnip for a long, long time. We can't get it out of the ground." And Mouse said, "Well, let me help, let me help." And Kitty Cat laughed, "Meow, meow, 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 meow. What makes you think a little pipsqueak like you would be any help?" And Mouse said, "Well, you never know. You never know. It might be just enough help." Kitty Cat said, "All right." So Mouse held on to Kitty, and Kitty held on to Dog, and Dog held on to the little girl, and the little girl held on to old woman held on to the old man held on to the turnip. And they pulled, and they pulled, and they pulled, and that turnip finally came up. And it was a great, big, enormous turnip, too. They took it home, cut it up, cooked it, and everyone had turnips and more turnips for dinner.